Hey, this is Jim. You know, we always try to take care of those who listen to the podcast or watch on YouTube or on our mailing list for 3sb.co. So on Sunday, April 25th, check out 3sb.co. You will see your sneak early access to our Power and Performance drop. Check it out. Sunday, April 25th, 3sb.co.
We're here with the one and only Bart Kwan, Barbell Brigade. Just kidding films, just kidding news, and we're going to talk about Dive Deep. I actually found a really a good piece by I wish I remembered his name, but he was basically 2 Chainz manager and producer for a while. And he talked about how much like what music is and what and counter to that, I saw a tweet where someone said what America's really good at, and they didn't put this on there, but I think what America's actually best at is culture. Although we don't have a culture, right, because we are a mixing pot, we worldwide, what spreads most from America? Culture, music, movies, all these things. And that's where my head goes when someone says culture, and maybe that's just because that's what I'm into. I'm into music, I'm into clothes, I'm into sneakers, I'm into basketball, stuff like that, and that always influences culture a lot, and especially hip-hop in 2021 is arguably like the culture of clothing and stuff like that. Yeah. But Jim brought up a really good point of how influencers, content creators, Fitspos, Bart's a Fitspo. He doesn't want to be one, but those are... they're influencing people, even though that term is shitty. We just don't have another term right now. Yeah.
It sounds almost shady.
No, it's
Are you influencing me?
I was in a meeting the other day, and I don't want to throw shade in, but they like kept referring me to that too. Yeah. And it what I don't like is that I feel like it dumbs down anything that established you an audience.
Oh, right.
Right?
Yeah. Like, I almost like content creator more than influencer.
No, I say that all the time, yeah.
But even that's kind of weird. Because I don't know, we haven't found the right word for it.
Well, that's why I say I'm like a coach. I say like I'm coach and I do podcasting. That makes me feel better. And maybe this is an ego-driven thing. Or I say like, oh yeah, my buddy Bart.
A little bit, but I get it.
Yeah, I say, but my buddy Bart's he's super into fitness, but he's a comedian. That's what if I'm explaining what you do to people, rather than like, yeah, my Bart, he's Instagram famous. Yeah, he's my best friend.
I think though, if you do podcast, you do YouTube, you do content specific for other platforms or whatever. Content creator is like the only umbrella term I can think of.
Well, and then it gets so overused. Like in 2010, for you to like make a living and be like, yeah, I'm a YouTuber, it's kind of cool. Yeah. But now, like 2021, to say I'm a YouTuber just feels kind of weird.
Yeah. Especially people who have like 100 subs and they say they're a YouTuber. You see a lot of that. Yeah. Or people like, I want to be an influencer. I think that influencer is something that you can look back and say, oh, I became an influencer, instead of like, I want to be an influencer.
Right. Yeah. Or like, what audience... Yeah, why'd you grab your audience? Like, what craft did you master to get that? And that's no shade on people that are just flat out entertaining and they make content. I like that too.
Or charismatic too.
I love that. Yeah, that could be your talent though. Like, oh no, I'm not a comedian, but yeah, I can just talk kind of good. Yeah. like that's probably my number one skill. Like, I don't really have a skill. Like, I'm really into fitness and I can coach it, but I can talk okay. Yeah. That's kind of why I am who I am, which is also, I think, better than the term influencer because, yeah, like Jim said, and you and I talked about it like 6 years ago. I think the first person came to you like, what do you want to do for a living? There's stories you tell me that you probably never remember, and I remember deeply because I think they're so funny. And they're like, yeah, I want to be like a Fitspo. And you're like, oh, for a career? Yeah. And so, like, that's like a thing of influencing now. Or, like, you know, the girls or guys that literally just show abs or ass to become popular. They have no coaching skill, no nutrition, no background. They're just really good looking. Yeah. Gives a negative term. But on top of that layer, whether you're a content creator, YouTuber, whoever, are these people twofold? Actually creating culture and spreading it, or are they literally just a vessel to spread other people's culture,
like doubling down on what's already out there?
Right. You know, like, and everyone does to some extent. Like, I love tall tees. I wore them my entire life.
Like, despite being short.
They make me look terrible. I have the least made physique to wear tall tees.
No, you look great in them though.
Dude, now you're just saying that, all right?
Damn it.
You don't mean it.
I do mean it.
I don't look
I'm
great.
influencing you.
Yeah. God damn it, I'm hot. You know, like my physique's not made for it. Yeah, I'm 5'9", I'm 225, not made for the boxy look. Typically a taller, skinnier guy would look. But basketball, they wore it. This was popular up until like 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
And then now it's coming back. I love it. So we design a lot of our clothes around that because it's what I love. I think it's functional. I think it feels good. I think it looks good on most people. And it's in style. But I would never say I created that culture.
Yeah.
Maybe I created that culture within like 10 people in our gym because they didn't know or realize this stuff's back or it's comfy. There's a generation that never wore a tall tee. How sad is that?
Yeah. That's
right?
true.
The kids that were in like 4th grade when we were in high school rocking tall tees never wore a tall tee.
Yeah.
And then now they're getting their first taste and we're like, dude, this shirt is kind of comfy. Why was I squeezing myself like a sausage in these, fitness tees? But even me, like I would never say I created culture per se.
Yeah.
But there has to be some. There's culture made. There's Twitch culture. I know you're not super into Twitch, but Twitch is weird because it has a weird culture. There's like 100 phrases on Twitch that you only know if you watch Twitch.
Yeah. I don't know if I think it's hard to like completely like originate culture.
Sure.
Because I almost see culture as like, you ever play with like GAC?
Yeah, the green, the goo.
Yeah. Like I feel like culture, it's like
That's so funny that you remember the actual term because I would say green goo,
Yeah,
but
like-
you remember the company name.
Yeah. So like you kind of push it, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of like squeezes out in certain areas. And kind of like, I think J. Cole talked about this, but he doesn't think there's any original creative idea, right? Because everyone's
Sure.
inspired by someone else.
Yeah.
So I feel like culture is also like that, where things are kind of like pushed from this area and you kind of see it kind of like come over here. But if you look deep enough or if you know enough, you know where it came from.
Yeah.
So everything kind of is part of like a culture that's like squeezed out and then it's just constantly moving.
I think because I'm a hipster hater, I like that original shit. I am kind of, I don't want to be the guy, but I am the guy.
But
like,
it's so hard to find. Like,
no.
name me something.
I was gonna go.
And we
No,
can
I'm going.
trace it.
No, I'm gonna
Okay,
do it
go.
right now.
All
But
right,
there's a couple things. Like I am that guy. Like Bart's like, oh, I like J. Cole. I said, name 6 of his songs, Bart. You know, and you're like,
Yeah.
like I'm that
Middle child.
I'm that fucking weirdo, or like
Yeah.
like oh, J. Cole's on the radio now. Like, yeah, that stuff's all right. Like I like his mixtapes. You know, the term hella.
Okay.
As a kid, I would travel, and I would say hella, and people thought that was so stupid and not from anywhere.
Okay.
You know where that's from?
English. The English culture.
It's from the Bay Area and Sacramento.
Hella?
Yeah.
It's not from San Francisco?
Yeah, the Bay Area.
Oh,
Bay
okay,
Area.
yeah. I know where that's from.
Yeah. But that has to have a trace
'Cause
somewhere.
I heard it the first time in high school.
Yeah.
One of my friends that I met, he was from San Francisco.
Yeah, and when we were in like growing up, I remember I would say hella all the time. People look at me all weird.
Yeah.
But now there's people. Everyone on the East Coast says hella. UK
Yeah.
folks say hella.
Yeah.
That's literally over 10 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can't root it to Tupac said it in this one song.
Yeah.
But that's pretty tightly rooted.
Yeah. That, I mean, that the GAC
I
is
know.
really thin there and it's really long, but it's still attached to the English GAC.
For sure.
gack.
I'm just saying
Yeah.
I think, and Jim and I have talked about culture too, like, and you're like this as well. Basketball, hip hop have these cultures that they like to respect the past or the roots.
Yeah.
Like Wu-Tang. Like people that like Wu-Tang are like they're kung fu nerds.
Yeah.
Like they're gangsters kind
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
but they're not like gangster rap. That's like West Coast. They're kung fu nerds.
They love it, yeah.
And that's why all their albums are kind of based around shit
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Like I like that rather than there's someone out there with a Wu-Tang tattoo or throws up the W and doesn't have a clue what's fucking going on.
Yeah.
Like I like the roots of culture and like the meaning behind culture. I'm not disagreeing with you by any means. You can't pinpoint shit.
Yeah.
Because everyone takes it right away. As soon as it's semi-cool, someone's taking it and making it their own shit.
Yeah.
Which is the beauty of it all.
Yeah.
But there has to be some, like there's YouTube culture, like shitty comments.
Yeah.
Like shitty comments have always existed, right?
Yeah.
Like the girl walking by the street and then the other girl's here and the mean girl.
Yeah.
Oh, that girl's dress is fucking ugly.
Yeah.
Like that's a mean comment.
Yeah.
But everyone who's watched YouTube or done YouTube knows it is chaos down in them comments.
Yeah.
Like that's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
You know, Reddit is particularly strong in that because there are certain categories of jokes.
Yeah.
And then you're going to see these 5 things on any post that is that leans in a particular direction.
Right. Or even beyond that. It might have been YouTube, right? But like on everything, everywhere now, someone who's popular posts something, someone's typed in first.
Yeah.
On
Still,
anything.
still,
true.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's
like,
true.
And we don't know the root of that and that spread, like you said, the amoeba to Instagram and amoeba to TikTok and stuff like that. But do you think that there is real, like, I guess influencer or cultures being made by these people? And I'm a hater, so I would probably say no, because I think a lot of these people, and I'm one of them, so it kind of sucks. I'm on the F list scale of these people.
Yeah.
Don't master a craft, and I think you have to master. Like a good musician has to master the piano before you really can get creative with the piano. You don't have to.
I don't think that's necessarily true.
So I was gonna say you don't have to be the best piano player in the world.
Yeah.
But you have to have some skills to be able to express it, I think. And it depends.
That's very true.
It depends on topic.
Yeah, that's very true. The way that I see it, and I actually, I guess, got to this epiphany through watching Taika, my son.
Yeah.
And I think everyone is born creative. That's
Sure.
what I think. And I think everyone's born creative and expressive. I don't know a single kid that's not out of their mind going nuts.
Yeah.
Right? And then I think as society, we start giving them rules to keep them, whether it's to keep them safe or to have them be like a stand-up like young lady or young man or whatever, and then you start limiting the creativity. But then the skills that they develop, I think the skills that they develop are to help them channel that creativity.
Sure. Express.
So for example, like I love singers, right? And you hear Usher sing, and you're like, oh my God, that's so crazy. And it's not that he can feel more emotions than me, because when he sings, I feel what he's singing.
Sure.
It's just that his skill level is at such a high point, he can articulate what he's feeling.
Right.
So I think going with the whole creativity and skill set, I think you only need enough skill to match your creativity.
Yeah.
So if you're a fucking genius, I think you're going to need some like classically trained level skill to match that creativity. But if in your brain, you're only doing like blue circles and yellow triangles. If you can master those two shapes,
True.
you're good. You're doing that all day.
So you think everyone
like Taylor Swift, for example, right?
Yeah.
Like she doesn't need to be an opera singer to make better music.
Yeah, her chords are pretty basic.
Because what's going on in her brain is just that.
You heard it for here first, ladies and gentlemen. Bart Kwan said Tay-Tay is an idiot.
Yeah, but you take like someone like Bruno Mars.
Right, or Prince or
Yeah, and if you like dumb down their vocals, it might not fully express what's going on in there.
Yeah.
Now, I was watching this video last night on YouTube, and this guy takes popular music and he's able to like sample it out so that he's actually getting separate tracks.
Yeah.
And he was looking at Boston, the group Boston. I know this is old, but anyway. But the lead vocalist for Boston or most of their music has a really amazing voice, and everybody thinks about it as being very, very true. And the thing about Boston is the guy who was the lead of Boston, he was very much into technology and like perfecting the recording process and whatever. And so this guy took the tracks and he would play the vocal, sort of isolated vocal, so that you could just really concentrate on the guy's voice, and then he can manipulate it so that all the pitch was perfect.
Yeah.
And play them side by side.
Sure. Like a drum machine versus a live studio drums.
Right.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is that it's not very far off, number one, but it's not better when it's perfect.
Sure.
It's actually better when it's a little bit imperfect.
Yeah. That's same with like jazz and like people playing music, like jazz especially or something.
Or even like if when Kanye sings.
Yeah, for
he
sure.
Actually sucks at singing.
No, yeah.
But the skill is perfect for what he's trying to express.
Right.
And if you took a better singer, it kind of ruins what he's
it
singing.
sound weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would sound really weird.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
And then so like with the whole culture thing, I think people that are trying to like curate it.
Yeah.
I think whatever culture they're trying to curate or put out there, as long as their skill level matches what they're trying to put out, I think that's great.
Yeah.
But if they're trying to put out some crazy sophisticated culture, but then like a straight up dumbass or they're not well read or anything,
Yeah,
then
you look like a tryhard.
yeah, then it doesn't feel authentic and you don't feel it, you know?
Yeah. That is interesting because I even talked about it this morning on just like an Instagram story. My like dream skill is to be able to sing. And I went to an art school my whole life, and I can sing. I know pitch. I know basic music theory. I've sung a choir for 8 years.
Let me hear something.
He's actually not kidding. He has
no,
pretty good voice,
he knows. He's fucked with it. Yeah, that's like our number one thing when we drive is we just turn on like R&B and sing.
Yeah.
Bart can sing, but like I just don't. I don't like my voice.
Yeah.
I just don't have a great voice, which some is genetics.
Yeah.
And kind of like you said, like maybe my genetics, which in terms of creativity, you could throw in the intelligence, doesn't match what I want to release.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
just don't.
Yeah. You just gotta smoke more cigarettes and get that raspiness in there.
Yeah, that's why I'll fake it. Yeah, I fake it. Eat a couple screws.
Give your voice color by destroying it.
Eat some tax. But that is a thing that has to line up. And I think maybe that's where even content, to me, goes through this evolution of not feeling authentic anymore. Because these guys may not have a skill of charisma, teaching, comedy, whatever, but they've gained some success, automatically go to like a Hollywood level of production, you know, and now they're vlogging with a Hollywood production, but they have nothing to say, they have nothing to do, they have nothing to tell, which is kind of similar to the outlet versus the creativity not matching up in a way.
There's also like the whole market aspect of it, right?
For sure.
Like, you know, if you're
how things are received is different.
If you're trying to sell like a Rolodex to like, I don't know, first graders, they're like, what's that?
Yeah.
Right? They don't care. They're like, I don't even have enough friends to put all my friends' phone numbers on there. So like the people that are able to get like the Hollywood production level vlogs or whatever, there is a market for that.
For sure.
And so that person might be a dumbass to you, but is probably connecting with all kinds of people.
No, 100%. And not a dumbass to me, but like I feel like you do lose that authenticity of creation. And I think a lot of YouTubers or people would agree.
Yeah.
They'd be like, yeah, man, this was fun, but now I have to vlog every day, and now I have to jump off a roof. You know what I mean? They would probably agree with that. It's not because once you monetize something, make it a business, or even just gain some momentum from an audience, all of it changes.
Yeah.
Because it isn't just now skill create. There's more factors.
Yeah, and I think because I'm on like almost both sides, like I feel like I'm a consumer, I also create, like I feel like I'm like all over the place. I'm kind of like a lover and a hater at the same time. So like, you know, when like Virgil Abloh's coming out with like the Off-White stuff, I'm like, text with quotation marks, like $1,000, you know. But then like when I remove that part of my brain and I just see the photos, I'm like, that does look pretty sick, actually.
Yeah, they look good.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it's, and if other people don't have the manufacturing and designing and creation part of it, they're only enjoying that sick part of it. You know.
That's true.
Yeah.
I have issues being the pure consumer in a lot of aspects. Because I dabble, or because I'm a hater.
End of it.
Yeah, I'm just a hater too, and so like I just critique the fuck out of it. Like music's one that I could think I can be pure consumer.
Yeah.
Movies, you know, like other things I can just enjoy. Yeah. And those are things that like I don't do. I don't because even someone said like, oh yeah, you should go get vocal lessons again, and you know I'm like nah. No? I just want to consume it, you know. Like I would like to play music again. Like I played, you know, quote unquote semi-professionally or whatever, but. Like, yeah, I'll just leave that to me.
You should follow this IG called They Have the Range.
Are they rip?
They so they'll take someone, like the most recent one right now is Usher. Yeah. His Superstar song. And they play his like riff in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then
just on a piano or something? Or the actual song?
Just the actual song. Yeah. And then it's a challenge. So all kinds of singers, they sing like people like that sing gospel, vocal teachers, whatever. And you just realize how talented this world is. Yeah. Because there's like millions of people that just nail it. Yeah. And you're like, whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah. 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 That's again going to like the create skill and then now making money or becoming quote unquote famous. Like Usher is so different because it's opportunity, it's luck. He can dance. He has the look. Yeah. Like there could be a billion singers actually better than Usher, and he's a really good singer. Yeah, yeah. But it just doesn't work that way in any of this.
Even with fighters, right? Like there's people that like beat the shit out of everyone in the gym. But are they charismatic at the press conference? When they show up at the day of the fight, they get their ass whipped because they can't fight under the lights.
Can they even handle a contract meeting with Dana? Like, I don't know if it's real or not, but I think it is. Bones Jones had a meeting last night with Dana White. One-on-one. Yeah, one-on-one. Could whatever fighter do that and not sound like an idiot or undersell himself or oversell himself and just ruin that deal? Yeah. Like Bones, it sounds like he got a deal done, so he said the right things. Yeah, like it's so multifactorial. Like, yes, he can whoop anyone's ass, but can you do this other shit? Yeah. The other question that led into this, and we'll bring it to fitness because it's the most clear cut to me, but we might be able to spread it to comedy or something else. With content creation and the growth of someone, and they now have a voice and an audience, where do the lines draw, or what's your personal opinion and maybe what's your broad opinion from like a maybe consumer standpoint and from your personal, which I've seen grow and change over whatever your 15 years doing this, of being morally responsible. And what do I mean by that is probably all we could do is buy our own code because we all have different codes, hopefully that you live by or hopefully if you're over the age of 20, you start to contemplate these things, where your lines are that you think's what's a good human thing to do, what you're willing to do and not willing to do, and how you try to live business life, personal life, and your everyday life. When does that start to be? And so in fitness, the easiest one is it, semi-evidence based?
Yeah.
Do you believe in what you're selling? Do you believe in what you're coaching? Do you believe in what you're doing? Do you believe in what you're telling?
Are you like more bro sciencey,
or even like but that, and you have to have knowledge that you're right or wrong. It's like selling something you're not willing, or like saying deadlifts suck just because it's trendy, although you think deadlifts are awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's what impact are you going to have on the audience that you have?
Yeah.
Like how are they going to react to what you're saying?
Yeah.
Are they going to follow what you said just because you said it?
And are you just saying it because you know the follow?
Right.
Because right, like I could go out there right now,
chicken and egg.
Yeah, I could do a bunch of videos and just to get a following on and say some dog shit about steroids and whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or I could just be a little more vanilla, which I am, and just teach you what I think actually helps and works. And I don't knock the bro science guys, because I think some of them, they truly believe in their practices.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't knock them, because I think that on the moral code, they're still probably hitting it.
Yeah.
Because they believe they're helping.
They're doing what's true to them.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not doing it maliciously. They're not telling you to eat tilapia because they want you to fucking choke on fish. They think that's the only way to get jacked.
Yeah.
And again, it expands to other things. And then where does that line draw of what you talk about or what you promote? And especially this last year, and we don't have to dive too deep if you don't want, it's up to you, of politics. The whole, the Kaepernick is the best thing. And I think about this a lot with myself, is where does that line draw? Is like, I'm a football player. I play football. I have these beliefs. Where do I share them?
I think it's I think the biggest thing that a lot of people forget, and I think we all remembered earlier on, that like social media was more of a two-way street. Like, it's not just my account, but there's an audience.
Yeah.
So kind of like at any concert or any show, you perform something, you're going to get applause or you get booed, and it goes back and forth, right? And that's the relationship. And I think in terms of morality, as long as you're doing what's true to you, I think that's the best way to go about it. But you also have to have realistic expectations that there's always going to be a consequence to what you say.
Yeah.
Always, right? So right now we're seeing, like we were just talking about this earlier, we're seeing a lot of athletes kind of take the political road.
Yeah.
And almost take away all their fitness posts or whatever. And I feel their pain, because they see like what's going on in the world. So from their perspective, they're probably thinking, why is everyone so dumb? Everyone wake the fuck up. This is the right way, right? But also managing the expectation, like if you're going up to someone, just strangers, and you're just grabbing them by the shirt, hey, you stupid fuck. The expectation is probably like, get off me.
Yeah.
Blocking.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's almost the reverse of what you want, because you're trying to do some good. You're trying to go, hey guys, wake up, like, we got to understand the things that are going on, but the way you're going about it is just as important as what you're trying to deliver. And I think that's the part that like you kind of really have to like manage everything.
Yeah.
So even for me, like I try to stay as apolitical, everything as possible. I just want to promote more. I think the things I like to promote more are more character based, like work hard, like be loyal to your friends, be loving, try to like see the brighter side of things at all times. Like that's kind of like what I try to promote.
Yeah.
Things that I think are universally positive traits that people like.
Yeah.
But there are times where I do feel like the world is going a certain way. So if I do put something that's kind of against the grain or kind of political or even more like social commentary, I also try to keep in mind what the consequence of it is, because on the inside I do want to go, wake the fuck up, you dumb fuck.
Yeah.
But I also know it's just going to backfire.
Right. I think it can backfire two ways. It can backfire in one, no one's ever, if you're like Biden and I'm like Trump, and you're like Biden, and I scream louder and I say, no, Bart, you must listen to Trump.
Yeah.
That's never made you switch your vote.
Never.
So how are we delivering this thing?
Yes.
And then I think, the other one you were talking about was like intent. What's your intent? Is your intent to sell them on your idea? Is the intent just to maybe help?
Yeah.
Because I think if you do stay true to yourself and you're true with your messaging, even if you're not, chances are if you have an audience, you're decent at delivering.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's a podcast, a YouTube, Instagram, you're decent at that medium of delivery. If your intent is true, the message will come true. If it's not, it won't.
Yeah.
it'll sound like a sell. It'll
Yeah,
sound like I'm selling you on Trump,
Yeah.
rather than just explaining or telling you, coaching you how I normally would on why. And I made this Trump Biden thing up, boys, before you guys get weird out there. But this is an analogy.
Yeah.
But me telling you why I am of this view.
Yeah.
That will come across normal for me because I'm a coach and I teach you how to deadlift. So now I'm going to teach you why I believe the same way I'm going to teach you why I think the pause deadlift is good is the same way I'm going to teach you why I think Texas are good or this is good, right?
Yeah.
Rather than, like you said, if it's not true, your messaging is going to come across like I'm fucking grabbing you by the throat and screaming at you my beliefs.
Yeah.
I think that the people who are screaming the loudest sometimes are the people who are trying to convince themselves that they're still
Could be.
correct.
Yeah, you're buying in.
Yeah, so like if I can get people to follow this idea, then I'm validating my own idea.
Yeah,
you know?
especially online, right? Because like if my views, there's little things like, you know, like me and Bart both agree the barbell's a good tool.
Yeah.
We've never once talked about that because we just agree on it.
Yeah, that's true.
If we disagreed and I'm the only one in this entire room that thinks the barbell's a really good tool, I'd probably go online and be like, there's got to be someone else that thinks the barbell's a good tool.
Yeah.
So I'm screaming out like barbells, and they're all like kettlebells, and I'm like, fuck, I am alone, you know?
Yeah.
And that's not everyone, because some people are just vocal, and then like the phrases start to throw out, right? And people like that I think are so stuck in the media and radio, but like the phrase, and this does have tons of application, but not in this sense to me. If you say nothing, you're doing nothing, or if you're saying nothing, you're part of the problem.
Yeah.
Right?
I hate that actually.
I do too, because yes, if I see a man getting innocently beat up right in front of me and I do nothing, I'm part of the problem.
Yeah.
I can go fix that.
Yeah.
But just to me have to go on my YouTube channel, which I'm trying to spread positivity, I'm trying to talk about hard work, and I'm trying to help people live a happier, healthier life and share my experiences, and I go on there and just talk about brutality all the time.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah.
So just because I'm not talking about it on my YouTube doesn't mean that I don't believe in it or I'm not doing it in my everyday life. I've stopped fights in my everyday life.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I have to go on my YouTube and in the intro of this podcast every single time say, hey, if you see a fight, you better go stop it, Timmy.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's so many ways to look at it too, where there's like the first one, for me, it's I like to ask experts on things, right?
Sure.
So I'm not going to go to like Best Buy and ask them like what's the best way to make a pizza,
Right.
because they probably know about like, I don't know, TVs and stuff.
MP3s.
So when I do see athletes
Or
just,
nothings. Often they
Yeah,
know about
that
nothing.
was a
Exactly.
bad one, dude. Fuck Best Buy.
Yeah, so when I see like I don't know, like the first time when I see like athletes or celebrities talking about political
Yeah.
things, my first go-to is like, what the fuck do you know?
Yeah,
That's
is
my
hard.
that's my first thing. And then the other part, when I do see people asking people that are not in the politics about like what their position is, or you're doing saying nothing is even worse, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Like it kind of blows my mind, like why people even go there. And I also think maybe that's to Jim's point, where there are people that are like, this is how I feel, but I don't know if I feel this is the right way. I hope my favorite person
Yeah.
also agrees
Yeah.
with me, and
Yeah.
maybe that's why they're looking for it. But
Maybe.
it's just so weird, you know.
It does get really complicated as you start to dive into it. Because then I also believe like, because I've had the same conversations in my head. Like, this may be the hot take of the day, but everyone's pushing everyone to vote all the time whenever there's an election.
Yeah.
I don't want dumb, uneducated people voting, and I don't mean by education level, and I don't mean that. I mean that if you're not going to
inform people,
if you're not going to read on the topic or the person running or the opposite person running, you're just checking off a box and taking my fate with you.
yeah,
Unless you agree with me, and then it's totally vote, and I don't care if you think about it at all.
You know what I mean? But that's
Yeah.
kind of the similar thing you're talking about. Like, yeah, if you don't, and then opposite that, who's to say the athlete, because we don't know, who's to say the athlete's mom wasn't a politician or they read everything about politics? We don't know.
Yeah. I actually think this might even be a hotter take.
Take it, dude.
But I think voting's stupid.
Hit them.
And you know why?
That's because you're Chinese, dude.
No.
Now you're really getting into some shit.
No, the reason why I say it's stupid is and I'm not saying like in
You hate
general,
democracy.
in
Bart
gen-
hates
no, I'm not
democracy,
saying
yeah.
in general,
Yeah.
but I'm like, it's taking like the most fast food approach to deciding what to do and then putting pen to paper, and now that's permanent.
They've tried. Yeah, I mean,
Right?
they try to make it slick.
'Cause,
Because
like-
it's radio ads. Like, where do you get real information? That's a whole nother topic, right? Of the media
Yeah.
and influence. And
Yeah.
Now you're just taking a radio ad. This is brought to you by Jim McDonald, who's running for senator.
Yeah.
Throw your trash away. Trash is bad. Recycle,
Yeah.
recycle. Like, that's literally what you hear. And
Yeah.
they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I heard that McDonald name. Yeah, I do think
You got
trash is bad.
This
Yeah.
long.
Yeah,
to
I
get
do
a
think
message out.
trash is bad. All right, I'll vote for him.
Yeah, because like imagine even in like in a business, right? You're trying to release like, let's say, a pair of like performance shorts even, right?
All right,
And-
dude, plug away if you want. I know you got shorts coming out.
No. Let's say you're releasing performance shorts, and there's like 12 of them. I think the worst way to go about it is, all right, here, I'm going to take this, pass it around to all like 50 people, and like go the 50 people at 3rd Street. Everyone vote what they want, right? You're just going to get a random arbitrary count.
Right.
Some people, I like the way that looks. I like the way there's a zipper. I like there's this, right? Versus if you have someone explaining, you have people talking about, okay, so this one's better because it's like above the knee. Well, this one's like, in trend, it's below the knee. This one stretches. This one's whatever.
Or the application. They get to work out 1 week in each pair.
Yeah. Like you really dive deep, and then now, okay, cool. We realized out of these 12, these 6 are garbage. Let's focus on this 6. And then once we get to a point where it's like, okay, cool, I think we narrowed it down to a few. Now it really just is like majority matters.
Sure.
After we weeded out a ton of them, let's vote now because we just can't make up our mind.
And we do that with like preliminary and all this, but it's still, that's a fast version of it too. It's a fast version that leads to a faster version. Yeah, it is kind of
because the way we get it now, it's like, here's your ballot, tell me what you want.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck? Well, shit. Like, I don't even know. First of all, I don't even know what this is, and then I don't know what the aftermath, and I don't even know the context of why. Like some of them, like you see like what you're voting on, like what the proposition is, and I don't even know the thought process of like getting here.
Yeah.
Like I was reading on Instagram the other day. There's this guy. He's going around. He's like a Navy SEAL, and he's going around finding like funny laws in different states. You can't own more than one dildo in Arizona.
Rightfully so. Rightfully so.
And I'm like, what? What's the thought process?
Does a double-headed one count as one or two? This is
exactly. What's the thought process? That also means people voted on it, and no one thought this was weird. Like it's just So I'm like, if things like that can like, you can't wash a donkey in a bathtub. Like there's just all kinds of weird stuff that's going on, and I'm like, I don't know if this is the best system.
It's because it's money, because it's turned into a business. It's turned into a system, so they slip different things in the bill. Hey, Bart's brother's a dildo maker, and I'm a donkey washer, and we both have friends in the Senate, and we're slipping things in and slipping things in. Like, all right, well, we actually just passed a bill to add 2 new stop signs, but at the bottom of the bill, because I'm paying for the stop sign with my donkey wash, they're slipping in that no donkeys in bathtubs because they got to come to Mikey's donkey wash. That's literally how it works.
Here's my 2 minutes on why our politics are broken.
You're gonna get Jim going. This is right up Jim's alley.
Like we're supposed to be electing people who are big thinkers. They're supposed to be able to evaluate situations and decide the best thing to do. They're representing the people. They don't necessarily have to, in my mind, they don't necessarily have to do exactly what the people want. They need to make an informed choice about what's the best
for the most
way to go forward. We don't have that anymore for the most part. We've got a totally factionalized electorate and the people that we elect. It's completely factionalized, and they are always going to disagree with each other, and there's no common ground anymore. And so then you have this initiative process where if you have enough money, if you're in your lobbying organization, your association, your business in general, you can get something put on the ballot, and you can just advertise the fuck out of it. You go straight to the people, and it's the same thing. Is this a well-reasoned law? Maybe not. Probably not, because it benefits a group of people.
Fucks up my dildo sessions.
And probably disadvantages a group of people. The problem is that we lost the common interest at some point. We lost sight of the common interest. If we could get back to that somehow, things would not be so broken. I don't see.
And because of that,
it's gonna happen in my lifetime.
And because of that, it got so complicated that we don't know the repercussions 6 months, 1 year, 10 years down the line. And that goes to Bart. Yeah, they send you a pamphlet of factual stuff that says what's going on, but you don't know how that affects something else and something like I never studied these things, and I haven't been around for 100 years. I don't know what will happen to my taxes, to this, to that, to this, to my car, to my cousin, to my business. Like, we have to go to our CPA to say, hey, how is this affecting our business? I read this thing, but I don't know how that affects my business. It works.
Yeah, it's too complicated for me.
And then how will it affect my business 4 years from now? Like, no one knows. It's all behind. It's the Wizard of Oz shit. It's all behind.
Yeah, behind the curtain. Yeah. There's a curtain behind you right there. But yeah, the other part of it too, and I don't want to keep going too long on this, but is the responsibility for knowing about something before you talk about it, and having some sense of how it impacts your
repercussions, like Bart said, to start the whole thing.
Repercussions, like I think that there are certain things you can do. I think you can I don't. Political correctness is a thing, but like, just try not to offend anybody in a really obvious way.
It's so easy to not be.
There
a
are
dick.
so many words that you should just not say because they're going to be offensive to
Yeah.
people, right?
Yeah.
On the flip side, this is actually a specific question to you. I know that you put out a video about Stop Asian Hate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you feel like you were maybe pressured because how people identify you to actually say something, or did you immediately say, I need to say something?
It was, I need to say something. And what's funny is I think like for years, both me and my partner Joe have been telling everyone in our audience, we're fucking dumbasses, don't ever ask us shit. So I think they've grown accustomed to that. So they don't really ask us about anything that's going on, which I'm like, thank God, because I'm a dumbass. There's really smart people out there go ask them things, right? But when it comes to like self-defense type stuff, which is not really political, and like just self-protection, self-security, when it came to that, the reason why I felt compelled to say something was I noticed there was a very like sheepish attitude, almost like, what is everyone else gonna do for me? And it broke my heart because I'm like, if you've been in any real altercation, like if you got your ass beat in an alleyway or if you grew up in the hood or anything like that, you know that no one's gonna help you but yourself. Like the bully doesn't stop until you kick him in the nuts or poke him in the eye or something like that, right? So for me, like, I really wanted to come out and say, like, we all have to be responsible for our own security. And at least with a lot of the other Asian American, I guess, influencers or whatever that I saw, most of them was more a cry for help. And I think that's good. It's getting awareness. We're on, like, CNN, on Fox, like, they are covering these stories, which is good. So the awareness side is good. But then I just keep hearing the awareness side go on, and it starts to turn more into like an echo chamber. So I'm like, okay, to solve a problem, step one is you have to know.
Yeah.
Step two, it's like, okay, you have to now identify the problem, and then step three, create a plan, and then execute the plan, right? But we're so focused on step one that I'm like, it's just going to be one of those issues where Asians are just going to keep getting beat up because all we're doing is crying all day. And so, like, for me, also, like, I want to go out and go, everyone stop being a fucking little bitch. You have to fucking defend yourself.
Yeah, sure.
But I also
and if you're not defending yourself, defend your grandma because she can't do it.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
But then I also understand that, like, if everyone is in like this mentality where they feel helpless, coming out with the message that strong isn't gonna work.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna be like, well, why aren't the cops doing their job, or why aren't they doing their job? Why is this even happening? And so for me, I'm like, okay, I have to. So it actually took me like almost a week of thinking about how I want to properly voice what I want to say. And I'm like, I think I have to relate it back to when I was a kid and when I really got bullied for the first time.
Yeah.
And I was really trying to relate, like, okay, the amount of helplessness that a lot of people feel, because I think people feel if I pay taxes and they go into law enforcement, shouldn't I be safe the whole time? Shouldn't my house not get burned down? Like, shouldn't, like, if I call 911, if I broke my leg, they should be here within 10 minutes. Like, it should, but then there's also reality.
Right.
So I'm like, let me try to relate myself to when I was helpless, when I felt like none of the teachers were listening, everything that should happen wasn't happening, and what had to happen in order to kind of like flip the switch in my mind to understand my safety is my responsibility. So I was trying to relate that story with what I think was going on, and then so it did take me a long time to find the right words.
No, but it was perfect because I watched the whole thing too, and I even related, and that's coming from a normal ass white dude in America, you know. And I even related to that childhood version because I got picked on too sometimes. So.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's also stupid when people are like, if you don't say something, then you're part of the problem. Yeah. Because sometimes it takes time to think of the productive thing to say,
right?
Because your impulsive thing to say can actually be counterproductive,
right? Or you overthink it. Like let's take the schoolyard one, and I see Bart getting beat up every day by Timmy, and I'm the teacher. I'm like, well, Bart must be pissing Timmy off. What's Bart doing?
Yeah.
Like, but and like that's a joke, but a real thing in sports. They always say the second person gets caught. So me and Bart in basketball, and Bart fucking pinches me or knees me in the leg playing basketball, and I give him one of these, I'm getting the foul every single time.
Yeah.
So teachers aren't dumb. Yeah. They might think something like they don't want Bart to get beat up, but they think their kids being kids, or Bart's fucking around, or Bart kicked him in the nuts first, or it is slightly more complicated than bad, good. Let me stop that.
Yeah. So for me, I felt compelled to say something, and I also wanted to make sure that, because my initial feeling would be like, grabs him by the shirt. Wake the fuck up! You gotta fight for your life, you know. And then the people are like, what the fuck? Bart's he's a white supremacist, you know, like he's supporting the Asian hate. I'm like, no, I'm not, you dumbass. So I have to figure out like the right way to kind of like formulate my thoughts and then and say it. But I did feel, and although that piece of content is outside of my norm, I think for me, I just felt like the world was getting, or at least the Asian American community was getting too unbalanced. So that was like my way of trying to go, well, there's another perspective, guys.
Sure.
You know, like I know we need all this awareness, and it's good that people like that, like Obama is tweeting about it, but that's not going to help like a specific street in Oakland where grandma's getting their ass beat. The grandma's not going to be like, you see Obama tweeted about it, you better stop beating my ass. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. No, and I think you went about it kind of like, well, how we started this whole conversation too is like not only your intent, you thought about it, but how you would do it is so true to who you are as a human, which translates to who you are as a content creator. You found an expert, and you've even mentioned like 3 times that you like learning from people.
Yeah.
And so you grabbed an expert beyond you, even though you have some training in guns and martial arts and self-defense. You're like, well, let me go find the baddest ass and heal, and then we'll just talk about some tips that maybe we could help some folks.
And you know what's one of the stupidest things about that? So I went on IG Live with Tim Kennedy because I've taken one of his tactical trauma courses, and I know he teaches like all kinds of stuff. One of them, he teaches a situational awareness class, which is, it's great for like, it's great for everyone actually, but it's like people at home are like, they just want to feel safer, feel more in control of like their house and stuff like that. So, okay, I'm going to take a guy who's literally like James Bond, like he fucking jumps out of planes, dives into the oceans, and is like, you know, like he has to get behind enemy lines and do crazy shit. And I'm going to have him teach a class on how to be more aware of your surroundings so you could be more safe or protect your loved ones. One of the first comments I see when Tim comes on, it's like, why do you have a white guy on? And I'm like, because he's the fucking best at this, you dumb fuck. Like, this has nothing to do.
Why are we drawing lines now, too? Like,
I'm like, what? I'm like, what's the, because he's the fucking best. What do you want me to do? Like, find like the Asian parking lot security guy who doesn't know anything? Like, cars are getting stolen right in front of him. Yeah. I'm like, this is why there's like, a lot of times, like, sometimes I feel hopeless as a content creator influencer because like you feel so much and you want so much good to happen, and then like you put out like a piece of content and you go, you have a booger on an ass, you know? And you're like, oh my god.
We're like exposed. We're exposed to so much more. Obviously the consumer is too, but content creators are exposed to so much, and obviously mental health's a huge thing with COVID and even stuff like this. Like the media, like the world, it seems so chaotic. It seems like it's swayed so one way. John Mayer said something similar once about how much exposure you have to individuals. Like, and he had like exact stats. He's like, back in the day, you're supposed to meet, I'm making this stuff up because I don't remember, but you're supposed to come across 300 people in one day and 10,000 people you would know in your lifetime. He's like, now, if you have any kind of audience, you're getting 100,000 people a single hour, and you're meeting, you know, 30,000 a lifetime. So the exposure and judgment and all this stuff, so much more. Like you said, you get now you're double thinking of putting out this content, although it's from such a true spot, because little fucking Timmy's stuck in his echo chamber and now doesn't want to trust a white guy with a beard.
Yeah.
You're like, this white dude's taking an hour out of his time. This guy gets paid to do this, and now he's doing it free on the internet to help your ass not die. Or get punched.
Yeah, he was training all day long. And to have his back even more, so he comes from like probably like the more right side of things, right?
Sure.
And on the extreme right, those guys are even trying to say that the whole like Stop Asian Hate thing is a hoax. It's like a media. Yeah, it's like it's not even real. So for someone to go, you know what? I don't care about left or right. My true goal is just to make sure humans are safe and we want to protect them. Yeah. I might even go a little bit against the people that usually have my back for what I think is a greater good. Yeah. And for someone to do that, and then for the one of the first comments to be like, but he's white. I'm like, oh my God, dude.
Yeah, you're making this guy not want to come back. But I agree.
I'm like, how do we have allies in that way, right?
Yeah, that is such a awesome like key theme is like, Tim Kennedy, who I've never met, I've followed him on Twitter for a decade, but like same thing. Like he believes his truth, and he went and did it. Yeah, I don't care who I'm teaching as long as it's not a bad guy, and I want to help a guy get better.
Yeah. Well, we are always kind of dancing on the knife's edge of personal responsibility. Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. Because if someone becomes a victim, and they were in a situation that they may have had control over, then we, in a way, we kind of want to blame them a little bit, right? Yeah. But at the same time, like, there might be a reason to blame them, because like I try to avoid any situation where I'm going to be a victim, and I try to think I have the same rights as everybody else, and other people would tell me that I have more rights than everybody else because I'm a white guy. But when it comes right down to is that threats are threats, danger is danger, and you should be looking for that stuff. That's pretty basic for everyone. And it used to be pretty common, I don't know, maybe it still is, that they do self-defense courses for women if they were attacked, what to do in a circumstance that you don't expect at all. And it isn't just about words. Sometimes it's about physicality. It's about getting yourself out of a situation. And that should be okay.
Right.
And we should be encouraging that. We can say, yes, a woman should never be in that situation. But there's too much reality around the fact that women are in those situations.
Yeah, and that's why I like the situational awareness seminar that Tim Kennedy was teaching, because it's almost beyond like what we think the societal responsibility is. It's just, he's like, when you're in an environment, you need to figure out and find and identify the unusual thing, right?
Sure.
So even if you're on a hike and you hear
Yeah.
rustling in the bushes,
Yeah.
maybe move off to the side so the mountain lion is now that much further from you. So
Or
this
a
is
snake or
yeah,
some
right,
other
yeah,
motherfucker
anything,
that wants to kill
yeah,
you.
anything. This is outside of
Yeah,
like
apolitical.
of
Yeah.
color,
Yeah.
politics, or anything.
Yeah.
Like what he's teaching is how to avoid danger.
Yeah, I
right?
ain't anti-rattlesnake, but I'm just not trying to get bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I liked about what he was teaching, where he was like, a lot of these circumstances, even when I was a kid, like when my mom would go to the ATM, she'd be like, you stand behind me and look around and see if there's a random like parked car that's just sitting there,
That's
or
cool.
if
Yeah.
something happens, like yell, right?
Yeah.
But then if you watch a lot of these videos, a lot of people are just stuck on their phones, like heads down or in the subway or something. And there is zero situational
Yeah.
awareness, so it's not to blame the victim, but the victim could have been preventative in the way they went about their day, and
Yeah.
that's just all he was just trying.
Yeah,
to
we're not
teach.
pointing fault,
Yeah.
but how can we all watch our ass?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're in circumstances you don't have any control over, and
Of course.
whatever.
Yeah.
And that's a thing too. But my son sitting over here is one of the like most hyper vigilant people I know. He can tell any place that we are. He can always tell you how to get out
Oh, that's awesome.
safely.
Yeah, I do little things. We talked to Tony, Real World Tactical, back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Around the Miami fights about similar things.
Manat.
Yeah, and I've had like similar things like that my whole life too. Where like at a restaurant, I always just kind of like to be against the wall so I could see the door
Yeah.
with whoever I'm with, and I just kind of watch. And maybe it's just I'm a paranoid dude.
From
but
say Goodfellas maybe or something.
yeah, mafia drama as a kid. But yeah, like shit like that. I just like little things like that. I'm sure there's tons of lessons to learn. Heavy, a lot to unfold.
Yeah.
But we should probably go.
I should wrap this one up.
Shout it out, man. Where can people find you?
You can go to my Instagram, Bart Kwan, or you can go to my family vlog channel. That's Bart and Gio on YouTube. You can see me, my wife, and my little kid, and we do all kinds of fun adventures. And if you want to check out our gym or apparel or supplements, go to barbellbrigade.com.
Beautiful, man. Appreciate you hanging out. Excited for the day. We got some filming to do. 3rd Street Barbell, Instagram, 3sb.co. I'm Solid Mike anywhere you want to find me. Ratings and review always help. If you guys share this on Twitter, Instagram, love to see it. Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
I'm at the Jim McDonald on all the social media. This show is 50% facts, where percent is a word and 50 is just numbers. We'll talk to you next week. It's December 11th. We'll talk to you sometime next week.